Hi everyone, this is MJ from Endless RVing, and the topic of today's video is campground etiquette for dog owners. Stay tuned.
We're going away. Get your bag, check the tag. Decision is made. Lock your door, need no more. It's already paid. Cancel your bill for a while. It's a journey for life, and I'm your ride.
So how many of you get completely irritated by inconsiderate dog owners? Right here. And I'm sure many of you do, and I hear it all the time on social media. People are saying that they're just constantly having issues with other people and their dogs. This video needs to be made for that reason. You can share it with, if you belong to camping groups, campground groups, friends, whatever that you know could benefit from this information. We're going to go over 6 things that are kind of my pet peeves, and I'm sure many of you share them, of etiquette for campground dog owners. As many of you know, as I've said in past videos, I am a professional dog trainer, so I'm coming to you with years of experience. Not like you need experience to see inconsiderate dog owners, but I just want to talk about this because I think it's really, really important for people to keep this in mind. All right, so we have number 1 is the biggest one. You're walking your dog, you're taking a nice hike in a campground or in a trail at the campground, and all of a sudden, you step in a nice pile of crap. I don't understand why people cannot pick up their dog's crap. It's very easy. Most places, campgrounds, state parks, they have those boxes of poop bags. If they don't, bring them. Take your Target bags, take your Stop and Shop bags. On our RV, actually right above us, we keep a bag filled with plastic shopping bags that we haven't used, and those are our poop bags. We're always taking those, and this way, whenever we leave the RV with Sierra and Bowser, we have those bags with us to pick up the poop. Very simple. You just have to simply take the bag, bend down, scoop up the poop, knot, and put it in a garbage can. Very easy. Okay, little exercise, but people need to do it, and the amount of poop that's out there that's not being picked up is mind-blowing. So spread the word, pick up your damn poop, okay? What happens, dogs can carry disease. If you have puppies that are susceptible to parvo and things like that, it can be very dangerous. This is critical, and it's all about consideration. Everything I'm talking about in this video is consideration for other owners, or non-owners too, just people that are at the campground even without dogs. Number 1, pick up the poop. Okay, number 2 is retractable leashes. All right, I may get some hate for this, and it's okay. I hate retractable leashes. I think they're the worst thing in the world, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons why retractable leashes should be outlawed. Yes, they give your dog some extra space to run and whatever. That's probably the only perk about a retractable leash. So let's go through these. Number 1, they're too long. All right, they're unpredictable. That length is unpredictable. Your dog is never fully under your control. Yes, you can lock it, but it's still, nobody leaves that locked all the time. All right. So the dog is running out 12 feet, comes back to 3 feet, 6 feet. The dog doesn't know the length of that leash, all right? The dog can easily run up to a child, run up to another person that may not want that dog near them, all right? There's no control with a retractable leash. I've heard horror stories, one from a client who had their small dog on a retractable leash, and they were at a corner, and the dog jetted out into the street and unfortunately was killed because there was no control with that leash. When you have a 6-foot or something similar leash, you know what the distance that you have, all right? So that's really, really important. It's so dangerous when you don't have the length, you don't know the length of that leash and what the dog is going to do. If you're talking to somebody and they take off, dangerous. The next one, the cord on a retractable leash is very thin. All right, it can snap. I've seen 120-pound Mastiffs on a retractable leash. You know how easy that can snap? If they see something, trust me, that will snap and there goes your dog, all right? Another safety procedure. You have to be able to have control of your dog, and that is just a risk I think that should not be taken. Number 3, Google retractable leash injuries. Or maybe not Google, I don't know if you want to see it, all right? It can burn, it can cut, it can amputate. That cord it can act like a knife, all right? You can, if it gets caught on your hand, I've seen so many hands with just slices from the leash that just cut through the skin. So the risk of injury, not only to the dog, but to the handler as well, is up there, all right? So another thing to think about. That's number 3 with these retractable leashes. Number 4, again, the dog doesn't know the length of the leash. When you have a dog on a 6-foot leash, for example, they kind of know how far they can go out, how far they, you know, the area that it expands. When you have a retractable leash, the dog doesn't get to know how long the leash is and how far. Is it, like I said, is it 6 feet? Is it 3? Is it 8? So what happens is a lot of times they can, you know, they jet out if they see something and it jerks, all right? And that the leash then is going to stop them in place, but they can get injured, especially if you have a smaller dog and they jet out to the end of the leash and it jerks them. That can cause injury to a smaller dog. So be careful with that. Be careful by not using it. And the last one that I want to mention too is the handle of a retractable leash. They have that big bulky handle. It can be very what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard to control. That easily can slip out of your hand. The worst thing about it though is a lot of these retractable leashes, if they're dropped, what happens? The dog starts running and they have this thing chasing them, this big monster just chasing them. It doesn't stop. They can run as fast as they want. That thing is not going to stop chasing them. It's a nightmare. So if you have a dog that's somewhat skittish or fearful and this happens, forget it. It's just not going to be a nice scene. So I would take your retractable leash and get a refund, all right? Go for just a plain old, 6-foot leash. If you want to get a little longer, whatever, but you want, number one, you want to have control of that dog and you want to avoid any injury to yourself and your dog as much as you possibly can. All right, number 3, keep your damn dogs on the leash, okay? You have to keep your dog on a leash. Depending on the state that you're in, the municipality, a lot of places have leash laws where your dog is not allowed to be off leash, okay? I'm not impressed when people have their dogs off leash. I'm actually impressed when people have a dog on leash that's well under control. That impresses me, all right? Because a lot of dogs, people will always say, oh, my dog's friendly, it's okay. That's the biggest line when you see an off-leash dog. Oh, he's friendly. Okay, great. But maybe mine isn't. Or maybe my dog is afraid of other dogs. So your dog running up to another dog, that dog may not be receptive to that. It's not fair, it's not considerate to that other dog and to that other owner. You can cause a reactive dog who may be in training to take a few steps back now because they just had this dog rush up to them, put them over threshold, and now they're just even more scared than they had been previously. So please keep your dogs on leash. Obviously, if the dog's in a dog park or in a fenced-in area, things like that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on a campground and there's just dogs, a dog just running around because their owner, say, is not paying attention or that kind of thing. Some people also, not just dogs, some people, if they're not dog owners or dog lovers, they don't want dogs running up to them. Some people may be scared. They may have been bitten in the past. They don't feel comfortable with dogs running into their space. So there's another reason. Please be considerate of other people, other dogs, and keep your dog on a leash, a 6-foot leash. All right, number 4, don't tie up or stake out reactive, territorial, barky dogs, all right? How many times we walk past campgrounds and the dogs are yapping and barking and it's constant, right? Again, barking is fine, but when it becomes excessive, that's an issue for other campers around you. It's consideration for people that are at the campground with you. So this happens, and I had addressed this in another video that I did on barking dogs. is dogs experience something called barrier frustration. So barrier frustration is when a dog can't get to something that they want. We're using a vending machine, we put the money in, okay, we press the button for what we want, it doesn't come out. Okay, we push the button again, it doesn't come out. We start getting a little frustrated, we can't get what we want. So a lot of people start pounding on the vending machine. It still doesn't come out. People will start kicking, they start shaking. They're getting frustrated because they can't get what they want. This is exactly what's happening with dogs that are tied out, staked out, behind a fence, any type of fencing with an RV or a tent or that kind of thing. And they're losing their mind, all right? Some dogs just can't handle that, all right? In my previous barking dog video, I discussed ways to deal with that, so you might want to check that out. But it's not considerate to have your dog barking at every little person or dog that walks by, all right? So please keep that in mind. It also makes dogs that are walking by your site uneasy, all right? If a dog isn't crazy about other dogs barking at them, it's making it uneasy for them, all right? Also I see this a lot where somebody will be walking their dog and their dog is reacting, barking, lunging at another dog, and instead of moving, they'll just stand there and the dog's reacting, going crazy at another dog, and the person's frozen. Don't do that. If you have a dog like that, just keep moving. Get that dog out of there. You want to keep them moving so they're not stuck in that going crazy mode, which is just making the whole situation heightened and not helping anybody. So please don't tie out or stake out your crazy barking dog, all right? And if you want to address the barking, watch my barking dogs video. There's tons of tips in there about how to help your dog if they have this issue, all right? Number 5, excessive barking in and off the RV, okay? So I had addressed in a previous video 2 different reasons why dogs bark, okay? If your dog is on their RV, we can hear that. If we're camping near you, we hear that excessive constant barking. It's not fair, all right? It's not fair to the people around you. Boredom is one. Dogs bark when they're bored. They bark if they're upset by your absence, okay? They may be territorial. They may be experiencing barrier frustration if they're looking out the window at you. They may be reactive or fearful or aggressive. Most times aggressive dogs are not at campgrounds, but I know there are some. So you have to address that. Again, it is not fair to people that are camping near you to have this constant barking. Watch my barking video, but please address the problem. Putting a shock collar on a dog because they're barking is not addressing the problem. It's a Band-Aid. Why is your dog bored? Why is your dog upset when you're not there? Why is your dog reactive? Find the root of the problem and then address it and help them, all right? But it has to be dealt with because, again, it is inconsiderate to people camping around you. And last but not least is number 6, people, adults or kids approaching dogs. In everyday life, I'm sure it happens, you're not going to see an adult or a child run up to another one in their face. Hi, how you doing? Okay, talk right in somebody's face like that, okay? If somebody ever did that to me or came up to my son and was right in their face and talking at them, yelling, hi, I would obviously be concerned, but there would definitely be something said or some physical force used if possible, all right? You don't do that. And for some reason, people think that it's okay to just approach a dog without asking, all right? It's not cool. It's not cool. And this is a lot of times where people get bitten or lunged at or snapped and, oh my God, your dog is so bad. No, they're not. They're not. They're actually doing what I would do is say, get out of my face, right? That's exactly what the dog is saying. So not all dogs like having people in their face. Not all people enjoy that. Guess what? Not all dogs do either, all right? It's not a toy for people to just run up and pet. So it's not a good idea to do that, or they may let you know that they don't like that. It's definitely violating their personal space. What you want to make sure that you're doing is you definitely want to ask the owner first. All right? If you see a dog that you have to go up and see, all right? Is your dog okay with other people coming up to them? Yes, they are. Great. So walk up. That still doesn't give you the right to reach out and pet the dog. When you walk up, you have to ask the dog if they're okay with it. How do you do that? By standing there. If they approach you, they're telling you it's okay, all right? I would just let them sniff you first and then possibly pet them, okay? Because if you don't ask permission of the owner or the dog, this is where problems happen. And a lot of times we see this where people are getting snapped at and bitten because they didn't ask permission, all right? Don't let your child just run up to dogs without asking, all right? It's asking for problems. So those are my top 6 campground etiquette dog owners tips, all right? There's more, all right, but these are the top ones that I would recommend. Really, checking, self-reflecting, are you doing all of these things? And if not, just make an effort to kind of do this. Again, it's all about consideration for your fellow campers, and that's what we're aiming for here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. As always, we ask you to subscribe, click that notification bell. We appreciate all your support. Like and share the video. Okay, that helps us a lot, so we can keep making these videos for you. And from Izzy, Jason, and myself, thank you, and we hope to see you on the road.